I firmly believe that I'm a top 5 player in the world.
Gets it done at the WGC Cadillac Championship.
Patrick Reed takes the Barclays.
I was made for this kind of stuff. Yeah, anytime I can get in front of the crowd, and especially the Americans, it just fuels me.
He has no weaknesses in this game.
Well, this is a completely different type of pressure, trying to win your first major.
If I'm playing the best I can that week, that I can't be beat.
What an incredible display by Patrick Reed.
What a shot from Patrick Reed.
That was just perfection.
Patrick Reed with the putt of his life.
Captain America captures Augusta.
This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show, presented by Acura. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Welcome to our 1-hour Masters Recap Show. Zecchino Weeks with you as we put a bow on the year's first major. Lots to get to today over the next 60 minutes. 20 weeks of TaylorMade also starts today, so we'll give that away at the end of the show. But Bob, the green jacket is behind us. For me, there was a ton of hype, a ton of anticipation coming into the year's first major. Personally, for me, Sunday lacked a little. Did it live up to the hype for you?
Well, I think, you look at the number of players that we were talking about that were in the discussion heading into this, all those names that were mentioned out there as possible great stories. Patrick Reed was probably not among them. And I think for that good reason, I mean, he probably should have been. He showed us something that maybe he's been confident with before, and we saw what he could deliver in the major.
And there were certainly big names there in the mix on the leaderboard. They just didn't press the way they were supposed to. Let's get to those final round highlights right now. And Patrick Reed, he's looking for his first ever major victory. He comes in with a 3-shot lead over Rory McIlroy. And right here from the back of the third green, this would be a sign for really the majority of the day. When he needed a putt, Bob, he made it.
He had basically all parts of his game working.
Rory McIlroy looking for that career Grand Slam. Starting today 3 back, this on the 8th hole. And this is just a huge block right. The same block he really hit off the first tee. Short misses with the putter, wide right off the tee. That's the story of the day for Rory McIlroy, and sadly, Rory was just never a factor Sunday at Augusta. You know who was a factor? A guy who started 9 off the pace. Jordan Spieth trying to become a player from the who comes back from the largest deficit in Masters history. Here at 8, a little pitch for his third. That pulls up underneath the hole. That would be a tap-in birdie. And Jordan would just go full throttle all day. Here he is at 12. And we'll get to this later on in the show. The hole that ended his march in 2016, and he exercises some demons here, throws that to the back of the green. Jordan celebrating there with a high five. But more importantly, he'll bury this putt from the back of the green, and Jordan adds another birdie to the scorecard. And just putting some pressure on. To me, Bob, this is the shot of the tournament on Sunday.
He went back and forth between a 4-iron and this hybrid. Obviously, this was the right decision.
Just covers Rays Creek, lands in underneath. Unfortunately, he would miss the eagle putt, but he would add another birdie, and the gutsy play pays off for Jordan. Patrick Reed, though, however, also on 12. Nothing to it, another one right in the heart. This guy means business, oh my. After his tee shot pulls up short on 16, Jordan Spieth from long distance, and that finds the heart. Perfect speed. He's like, let's go, let's do this. And Jordan Spieth just one off the pace as he comes down the stretch, now tied for the lead at this moment, where Patrick Reed on 14, and he'll stuff it in there and add another one to get that lead back, Bob, with the birdie at 14.
He saw the leaderboard. He said he was watching leaderboards all day. He knew exactly what his position was, and he delivered.
Jordan Spieth needing one more birdie and just tries to play that cut. He fails, unlucky, just clips one branch and falls low. I got to ask, why playing the big cut there? I don't know. Lays it up to this point, throws his third in, trying to save par to post 14 under and apply a little pressure to Patrick Reed. But A little miss, really the only miss we saw all day from Jordan, and it would fall short at 13 under.
18 always plays tricky. Guys think they have the read there. We've seen it year after year after year.
Jordan Spieth can't believe it, and his march would end. Now, Ricky Fowler, really the only player left on the golf course that can have anything to say at all about this championship other than Patrick Reed. Ricky's approach on 15. Just trying to cover the water, give himself an eagle look, and that's exactly what he does. Settles in there nicely. Ricky would make birdie, and Fowler in the mix again on a Sunday here on 18. An opportunity to finish in style, and he does, right in the front door. Ricky Fowler would post 14 under par. The numbers on the board, Patrick Reed would need to two-putt the final green to post 15 under and win his first ever major championship. This one would just slide by and really leave himself the longest 3 feet of his life.
At least it was uphill, that's all I can say.
Begging for it to slow down as it goes by the other side, and now 3 feet for a life-changing moment.
Yes,
and it goes down. And Captain America gets it done, his first green jacket, his first major. And finally, Bob, we see somebody who takes international Ryder Cup play and translates it into singles success. And let's take a look a little bit here at our final leaderboard. There's how it finished, 15, 14, 13. It was tight. It looks tight. Huge names on the board, but really, Bob, for me at the end of the day, it never was as tight as what it appears.
Patrick Reed always kept his nose out in front. I think he always was in control of the golf tournament all the way down. Even though those guys pressed, Fowler, Spieth, they just couldn't quite reel him in.
Let's hear from our champion, Patrick Reed.
Anytime trying to just close off a golf tournament is really hard, but to close off your first major and to do it at a place that's so close to me, being it's where I went to college, and I knew that the lead was going to shrink it sometimes. I knew the lead could grow. I mean, it's just the flows of golf. You just have to know how to handle it. And, the only way that I felt like I could get that done was to make sure the putter was working. And, it was tough out there. But, to be able to make that putt, I felt like on 14 and then to make the two putt on 17, it just kind of, gave me that momentum going to 18, which in the past has given me so many issues. And, to be able to have to par the last hole to win my first major, it definitely felt right.
Interesting look here at players who have won the Masters the year after missing the cut. Look at the last player to do so, Tiger Woods in '97. Unbelievable. So that is a rare feat for Patrick Reed. And he gets it done, his first major. Like I said there during the highlights, Bob, we finally have a player that takes that international match play success. We were kind of waiting forever to Ian Poulter to maybe do it from a European side. We've seen other players come and go. Now Patrick Reed takes Ryder Cup, President's Cup, uses it as a springboard. He's never been shy on confidence. The one thing I'm surprised at, though, and the one thing that I don't think we're talking about enough is the break on 13. How does that ball stay up on the bank? Where, that changes the complexion of this golf tournament. Not taking anything away from Patrick Reed, but that was a huge moment.
I think anytime you win a big tournament, I think you have to get breaks. And 13 and 17, his putt on the 17th hole hits the stick. If it doesn't hit that stick, it's going way by, and that two putt is going to be out of his range. So I think you look at those things and obviously say, yeah, when you win, you get great breaks, but he also played very well. Anytime he made a bogey, he followed it right up with a birdie. So I think, as I said before, he's sort of in control, kept control, never really seemed to lose his momentum going forward, even though there were a few ups and downs during the round.
And it's interesting because the formula seems to be the same, right? The formula for Masters champions are dominate the par fives, be in that top 3 or 5 in par 5 scoring, avoid the big numbers, which we saw huge names all week that couldn't avoid the big numbers, and make those 6-7 footers when you absolutely need them. And to me, Bob, you hit the nail on the head. One of the most important putts we saw all week was that comebacker for par on 17. That can change the complexion of the golf tournament. Let's just go back a year earlier, what Justin Rose missed that putt on 17, which let the door stay open for Sergio Garcia. Par putts can mean everything. Tiger Woods spoke about it and throughout his entire career, and now Patrick Reed did it this week.
Yeah, we saw that board, too, that talked about him missing the cut last year. He went out this year. He had 2 days of reconnaissance, 8-hour days. On one of those days, he played just 4 holes, 1, 2, 12, and 13. He said he hit probably 1,000 putts on each of those. He had a local caddy trying to get him around. He also worked on 18 to try and figure out where the breaks are. He did his homework, and it obviously stood out. As you mentioned, the par 5s, he was 13 under through the first days on those par 5s. He didn't birdie any of the par 5s coming in on Sunday, which is unusual for a guy who wins.
Well, Patrick Reed has his major, and now maybe he is a top 5 player in the world like he declared so many years ago. We'll have to keep an eye on this. And is this now a springboard to bigger and better things? Maybe the seal is off the lid, or the lid is off the cup, so to speak, and Patrick Reed's going to have himself a big 2018. There were other players, however, in the mix. We'll talk big names and notables next. But first, shots of the week right here on Golf Talk Canada.
Good-looking practice swing.
He only needs to swing about 120 miles an hour. That's a good speed for him. Come on back.
There's no way. This.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Go in.
Come on.
Go in.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
He'll have to use all his immense talent with this one. Bouncing just short of the green with some spin.
Rory McIlroy makes 3 at the 8.
Louis Oosthuizen. Same putt Adam Scott had a moment ago. 40-footer that breaks 40 feet.
This one looks to be on a better line. Bang! He buries it.
And this is Charlie Hoffman. And that was a 6-iron.
But on the course, while Phil shot 5 under, Webb Simpson is on the course at 6 under for the day. This was over at the 7th hole. He began the final round at +3. So he holes out at 7, and then at the par 5 8th, he does it again for an eagle. John Rahm, 2 under for the round to this point, coming off 68, and hello eagle.
He had no idea when he hit it, but this goes in for birdie. You can see, wait a minute, what happened? Did it go in? Yeah, it did.
Pretty much the same shot. How about Patrick Reed?
The shots of the week have been brought to you by Porter Airlines, flying refined. This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show. This segment of GTC is brought to you by Twist Face, designed for straight distance. Only an M3 and M4 from TaylorMade.
Welcome back to our Masters Recap special, where there were big names and notables that did come into the fray on Sunday. Here's Bob Weeks with notables in the week that was at Augusta.
It was as if there was a gathering of the game's greats, the best in the world, all arriving at Augusta National with wins on their early season resumes. The list went deep, creating anticipation and excitement. And one name stood out even more. For the first time in 3 years, Tiger Woods was back on a course that had been the canvas for some of his greatest portraits. Could he revive his dormant career and become a factor here once again? The Masters is never short on remarkable moments, and they came even before the tournament officially started. A hole-in-one from the progeny of a legend, and a celebration that turned an ankle into an angle. In round one, there was a familiar face on top. Jordan Spieth took top spot for the 9th time in his 17 rounds and looked nearly flawless in his play. But a day later, a sloppy start had him slipping back while the brash, bold Patrick Reed took over thanks to a round of 66. At the other end of the leaderboard sat Woods and Mickelson. Neither player sharp, both no longer a factor. On Saturday, sun turned to showers, but Reed remained in charge. When opponents moved closer, he pushed himself out further. If they made birdies, he made eagles.
And he's done it again, right on cue.
At the end of the damp day, it was still Reed on top. 3 shots back sat McIlroy, taking his 4th try at closing out the career Grand Slam and trying to drop the pressure on the leader with a post-round prediction.
All the pressure's on him tomorrow.
With a host of players still within striking distance, it wasn't quite match play, but the memories of Hazeltine were obvious. Sunday was setting up to be a clash of the Titans, but no one expected that Sunday would deliver. While Reed stalled, others pursued. Red numbers lit up the scoreboard at a remarkable pace, and while McIlroy fell back, others went low. Rahm, Fowler, and Spieth, especially Spieth, chasing a course record and the top of the leaderboard. But no matter how many birdies they made, they weren't able to catch Reed. Great shots, good breaks, and clutch putts, and the man known as Captain America was able to grab the green jacket.
Rory McIlroy with another opportunity to complete a career Grand Slam, but look at his career in the final group at Augusta. Scoring average of 77, 9 bogeys, the doubles, the others. Rory McIlroy just not a factor whatsoever. Jordan Spieth, he did about as much as he could from the position he started on Sunday, tying that all-time Sunday round of 64, only 1 off the course record of 63. And for a while there, it looked like Jordan might set a new course record and do it on a Sunday. Let's hear from some of our notables.
How aware were you where you stood on that leaderboard as you walked to 18T, and what was going through your mind on that tee box?
Yeah, I wasn't at all. I didn't look at one board. The only time I knew where I stood was after I finished on 18. So, I knew the putt was important. I knew, that every shot was very important coming down the stretch because I knew I needed to get deeper and deeper because with that many guys ahead, somebody's going low. But I didn't know exactly what it was, and so obviously pretty gutted at the finish. I hit a tee shot that wasn't that bad. It just caught the last little branch of that tree. So obviously want to go back to that tee shot right now, but it was a phenomenal day. It's frustrating, but it's hard to take any positives from it right now, but at least I put myself in a position. That's all I wanted to do. The last 4 years, I've had top 10s, but it hasn't been, I haven't been close enough to the lead. Today, I got myself there. It wasn't as if nerves got to me, or I just didn't quite have it.
There's been a few majors where obviously I've played well enough where that score would have held up at another point, or if there wasn't one other guy, but that's golf. You have to beat everyone. Nice to get the one at the last just to keep them honest and to beat out Jordan for solo second.
Most top 10s in majors without a victory since 2013, and Ricky Fowler certainly leads the way. And with all due respect to Hideki, Matt, and maybe even Jon Rahm, although early in his career, for me, Bob, Ricky Fowler, the best player in the world right now without a major. He has that backhanded compliment that we like to hand out every once in a while. Bob, notables played well. I think Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth did all they could from the position they started in come Sunday. They pushed the envelope. The guy that was supposed to make this harder, the guy to me who has so far, I guess, the tag of maybe not bringing it when he needed to bring it, is Rory McIlroy. He started the day 3 off the lead. He got the face down Patrick Reed. He was the guy that could have applied the pressure, and he didn't bring it. He blocked it far off the tee, off one. He missed a bunch of short putts early, and Rory McIlroy, with another huge opportunity to put his name on Mount Rushmore of golf, failed miserably as far as I'm concerned.
Well, sure. I think you look at the fact that all he had to do was shoot 68 to get himself into a playoff on this day, because Patrick Reed was good, but he wasn't great. Let's not mince words. He had enough of a lead that he could do that. But I think if you look at Rory's statistics, if you look at his games, if you look at that board that we saw, his final round in this tournament is just kind of disastrous. So, I mean, every time he made a birdie, he followed it up with a bogey on Sunday. There's just no momentum building for him. And obviously, he's going to go back and look at himself and say, man, I missed a great opportunity to get a green jacket.
How big is the putt on 2 for you? Because if Rory McIlroy makes a 3-footer for eagle on the second hole, this thing is all tied standing on that third tee. He lets Reed off the hook. And And of course, as you know, I say it week in and week out, bad putting bleeds into the rest of your game. He missed a bunch of short putts early, and it just went sideways from there.
Right from the first tee. That, as you mentioned, that tee shot that he hits and he blocks it way out to the right. I mean, that kind of set the tone for his round. You almost think, and a couple of people, some of his peers were sort of commenting on this after that, maybe he just went after it a little bit too much. Maybe he wanted it too much, and that way forced and got out of his normal routine.
Jordan, spectacular week. Maybe not the Friday that Jordan wanted. He'd probably want that Friday back as we kind of put a bow on notables here. Ricky Fowler. This one, I think, feels a little different. I don't feel like this one hurts as much as some of the previous ones. He came from the back of the pack. He pushed forward and kind of got his name on the board. I don't think he'll lean on this one too hard for very long.
As you mentioned, probably the best player in the game right now without a major. Certainly the most popular player in the game without a major. And I think if you look at what he did on Sunday, it was a much more mature Ricky Fowler. He's not that young kid anymore with the long hair. He's a guy, I think, who was destined to win a major. The performance he showed, that final round was a really solid round, and I think you're going to see him win a major very soon.
It's got to happen soon, and he's still young enough that he has plenty of time to get it done. Well, on the other side of the young enough coin, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, not the week they wanted. We'll talk Tiger and Lefty next. This is GTC.
Closed captioning brought to you by Muskoka Bay Resort. Naturally better living. Visit MuskokaBayResort.com. This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show. This segment of GTC is brought to you by WeatherTech, Canada's leader in automotive accessories.
In case you guys have forgotten, hello, my name is Tiger Woods.
What would success be? A W. No equivocation.
Okay, green jacket.
Who's the favorite?
I like my chances.
First Masters since 2015.
And the first Tiger roar of the 82nd Masters.
Tiger trying to steady the ship.
He's as rusty as any top player maybe has ever been.
He said it after his round yesterday. He hasn't had any momentum this whole week.
Big disappointment for Woods out of the gate.
And Tiger Woods has now gone 9 straight holes without a birdie.
We've watched him. It's just not completely together.
And his iron play, I can just tell he really just doesn't have the control. I just got to clean up my round a little bit. Just need to give myself more opportunities.
Staring it down the whole time. Arguably the best iron he has hit here this week.
There you have it.
Eagle for Tiger.
He will take every possible positive out of this round and out of this week.
And taking a look at some of Tiger's stats here, driving for the week, not bad there in terms of fairways hit. That's the typical Tiger, always looking for a few more. Greens and reg. Strokes gained putting really not there, but I think statistically the final day certainly improved on these numbers. There's more to the story. He was just never really in the groove or in contention. Let's hear from Tiger Woods.
I missed playing major championships. You know, it's been 2.5, 3 years, whatever it's been, since I've played a major championship, and I normally build my schedules around them. So this was great to be back, to be able to play in a major again, to have an opportunity to win the title in the beginning of the week. Obviously, it didn't pan out. I didn't hit my irons good enough. I didn't make enough birdies. I made too many mistakes. But overall, it was fun to be able to compete again and play in the Masters.
For me, Bob, you can just take a look at the first hole at Augusta National starting on Thursday, and it kind of summarizes the week for me for Tiger. It was never in sync. Horrible 3-wood off the tee on Thursday. Throughout the week, missing the first green from 100, 110 yards out with a wedge in his hand. He was just never sharp. Maybe the best part of his game came out on Sunday, where he had a solid finish to the golf tournament. But I guess, how do you grade Tiger? And if it was anybody other than Tiger Woods, would we feel way more positive about what we saw?
Well, let's not mince words. We probably built him up a little bit too much going into this, but with good reason, because he played well those 2 tournaments at Valspar and at the Arnold Palmer. We thought, okay, this guy's back, and his iron play was one of the things that I pointed to that said, yeah, it was pretty good, but his iron play was horrible out there. I mean, his putter wasn't much better on Sunday. He missed 5 putts under 6 feet. He did not play the par 5s very well, except on Sunday when he finally got around to doing it in 5 under par. But those used to be his bread and butter around this place. I mean, the first round he didn't even make a birdie on any one of them. So there's just a lot to sort of look at and scratch your head and say, what happened? And now we sort of ask yourself, what's next?
What's next is a good question, and I think you touched on something there that we touched on with Patrick Reed. He dominated the par fives this week. That's the recipe at Augusta, and Tiger struggled with the par fives, especially early in this tournament. And I'm wondering, because I'm still of a believer that Tiger Woods is not super confident with the driver right now, and he's going to hit a shot that fits his eye, and I'm not so sure he's comfortable with allowing the golf hole itself to dictate that shot to him, and that's something Augusta does, especially on the par fives. You can't hit cut when you feel like it. You can't hit draw when you feel like it. It tells you what to hit. Do you think that's part of it?
Well, sure. And I think, he goes back to when he played, how good he was back in those days. And he remembers those shots that he had. He just doesn't have them right now. Not yet, anyway.
Well, if there was a bigger disappointment for me than Tiger Woods, it was Phil Mickelson, because Phil Mickelson has played beautiful in 2018 and has that win. And if we take a look at Mickelson's week, boy, it is just hard to find anything positive out of here whatsoever. I guess the putts statistically are not bad, but man, he went one step forward, 2 steps back all week, Phil Mickelson, and suggested he put too much pressure on himself in majors. Maybe Father Time ticking away. Let's hear from Phil Mickelson.
I hit one good shot this whole week. It was a 7-iron on 17, which went exactly as I had wanted to, and so I was just a little bit off, and I'll take a week or two off, and I'll regroup and get back at it. But I've been very consistent this year, especially off the tee, and then last week and this week I've hit some really big misses, which I haven't been doing this year. I haven't had big numbers this year, and then these last 2 weeks I've had a lot of big numbers, so I'll have to get that worked out.
Bigger disappointment for you, Bob, in terms of expectations. For me, it's by far Phil Mickelson over Tiger Woods is the bigger disappointment. I really had him contending as one of the top 3, 4, 5 guys coming into this tournament. How do you see this?
Yeah, very much so. I think Phil Mickelson sort of hit the nail on the head, obviously, in that what he was talking about there, in the fact that, he had some big numbers. He had 2 triple bogeys on the card, which you don't normally see from Phil Mickelson, and he just kind of got himself out of position. He looked a couple times playing shots that I thought were a little questionable. He hit this flop wedge on the 11th hole on Saturday that I thought, why would he try and do that? But I mean, I know he's a smarter golfer than most of us, so I'm sure there's a reason. But he just seemed out of sync, and as you suggested, he is now talking about the fact that perhaps he's running out of time. He doesn't have that many majors yet. Perhaps he's putting too much pressure on him. The next one is going to be even more so at the U.S. Open, where he tries to round out that career Grand Slam. He's got, I think, 2 good chances: Shinnecock, and in the following year, Pebble Beach. Those are kind of in his wheelhouse.
I think you're right. I think there's a 2-year window, but I'm going to ask you the same question as what we were asking about Rory. Now, Rory, a much younger man than Phil Mickelson. Phil will turn 48 this year during U.S. Open week, so Father Time not necessarily against Rory like it is against Phil, but is the elephant in the room getting too big? Is the story too big? Is Phil's year all about June, and is that a danger?
Well, he's admitted to that in the past, obviously, that he wants to win this. Sometimes he's tried too hard. Sometimes he's put too much pressure on himself. As I say, I think he's got 2 legitimate shots left to try and do it. He wants it more than any other tournament that's out there. Even before he won his other majors, he's said that this is his big trophy to win. And you're right, perhaps he just wants it too much and it's becoming a weight on his shoulders.
Well, we'll see. We're a couple of months away and we still have a Players' Championship to get to before we get to that U.S. Open. On the other side, we'll talk Canadiana. Bob went one-on-one with Adam Hadwin. This is Golf Talk Canada.
This segment of Golf Talk Canada was brought to you in part by Golf Ontario, providing leadership and support for the game we love. This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show. This segment of GTC is brought to you by MotoCaddy and Stewart Golf Dream Machines, the Canadian market leaders in electric walking golf trolleys.
He's the Canadian, Adam Hadwin.
To get to 3 under. Right in the middle.
I just made a few putts there on the backside.
Adam Hadwin. Just watch this man putt, Vern. Wow. Great stroke.
Anytime you're under par, this place is pretty good. Golly, Adam.
Watch this one.
Get up.
No.
That's what this golf course does to you. It makes you grind on every shot.
If you look at the big picture here, he had another solid tournament.
Very clean and tidy player. Just watch this swing, nice and simple.
I still got quite a few shots where, Joe and I discuss hindsight of what we probably should have done. It's part of the learning curve as well out here.
The experience here is invaluable.
A snapshot of Adam Hadwin's week at Augusta. Numbers are pretty decent. They're solid across the board. Like to make a few more putts in such a small field to be T40, but still his second Masters, and he gets to play all 4 rounds again, and he'll play all the majors again by the looks of it here in 2018. Bob went one-on-one with Adam Hadwin.
All right, Adam Hadwin, I know kind of finishing on a sour note there, but tell us about the round today overall.
You know what? It kind of started like all the other rounds, just a little up and down. Couldn't quite make the putt when I needed to, get into a rhythm or anything, and a couple easy birdies there on the back on the par 5s. Kind of was hitting some good shots, just couldn't get the putts, and adds up to 71 today.
You came in here talking about how well you were hitting the ball, how well things were going. How do you leave here now?
It's close. It's very close. I'm not sure I made a putt outside 10 feet this week, which is, it's going to be tough to compete when you do that. But it's close. The ball striking was very close today. I kept saying to Joe, like, we're right there, and couple, just hit a couple close and get into a groove and really start getting confident. I might have been able to post 4 or 5 under today, but it is what it is.
This is your second Masters. How much did you learn this year compared to the first year around here?
I felt like a better player this year. I was saying that to Joe. I think last year we overthought a lot of the things and a lot of the slopes and where to be, and this year just focused on where to hit it and hitting good golf shots and all that. And I felt like a much different, much better player. Felt like I belonged here a little bit, but that just comes with gaining the experience from last year.
You have moved up in class this year. There's no doubt about that. You're in the top 50 in the world. You're in all the majors now. Can you take what you learned here this week and move that forward into the rest of the season?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, I top 25, top 30 against the best players in the world on one of the toughest golf courses we'll play. You got to find the positives in that for sure. I battled for 4 days. It could have been a lot worse. So I hung in there, kept trying to hit good shots, and this week just wasn't my week.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Bob.
I like what Adam was saying there, Bob, because although he is giving himself a new standard of what is success, he's different now. He's top 50 in the world. He's going to play all majors. He played them all last year, and he's not happy just kind of finishing and contending. At the same breath, he said, hey, this is experience on one of the hardest golf courses in the world where I get a good finish and they're building blocks. But again, Adam Hadwin now almost in a different class, and the measuring stick, so to speak, changes moving forward for Adam.
Yeah, very much. And I think if you look at his performance here at the Masters this week, it really was a solid performance. There wasn't really any terrible rounds or anything. He played 2 holes very poorly. He played the 18th and the first hole. The first hole, he went bogey, bogey, double bogey, bogey. And on the 18th, he played that in 3 over. So those 2 holes, 8 over. If you iron that out a little bit, I think he's going to be very, very happy. And I think right now he is a guy who is ready to start challenging for bigger tournaments, perhaps get himself in the mix for major championships. And who knows when you do that.
And I would just suggest, and not that Adam can't contend or win at Augusta, because he's proven the opposite. He's played 2 Masters, made the weekend both times. But I would suggest to you that out of all the majors, I personally feel that the Masters is probably lends itself the least to Adam's game. I think of him more of contending maybe at Shinnecock this summer.
He's certainly an accurate guy. And the one thing he did tell me is that he has spent so much time trying to dial in his shots around the green and into the greens. He hasn't given as much attention to the putter. And that's the one club, which is usually his best club in the bag. He's usually, when he's putting well, he's probably one of the best putters in the world. You can get that warming up, which he feels he's close to now. We could see some good results from him in the next few weeks.
Well, we're going to see a lot from Adam over the next few weeks. And, of course, he'll be at the Players' Championship, U.S. Open, and the rest of the majors throughout the year. Good weekend, Adam. On the other side, we'll switch gears a little bit. Talk Ontario Junior Golf Drive and how you can help junior golf in the province. This is Golf Talk Canada.
Closed captioning brought to you by Muskoka Bay Resort. Naturally better living. Visit muskokabayresort.com. This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show. This segment of GTC is brought to you by Twist Face, designed for straight distance. Only an M3 and M4 from TaylorMade.
Welcome back to our Masters recap episode. We're going to take a little break now from Masters coverage. We will get back. But a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go down to South Carolina and attend the Can-Am matches. It's a great event. It's been going on for many, many years. The notables and alumni in this event are rich, and they go deep onto many tours, PGA Tour, LPGA Tours, all the major golf tours really around the world. It's the best junior players from Ontario against the best junior players from South Carolina, and I had the opportunity to attend and enjoy the festivities and speak to Executive Director Mike Kelly. With a good friend of Golf Talk Canada here at the range at Wachisaw Plantation, Executive Director of Golf Ontario. And you know, I almost said GAO, by the way, 3 times since I arrived, but I'm still solid on camera and mic with Golf Ontario. The Executive Director, good friend Mike Kelly. Mike, we couldn't pick better weather to get this Can-Am matches started. This is spectacular. You know, it can be dodgy sometimes. You know, you never know in the spring down in the south, but this is perfect. This is ideal.
I mean, it was actually dodgy earlier in the week. So, I mean, probably one of the best parts about coming down to Myrtle Beach this time of year is things are just starting to bloom. You know, so you kind of get that feeling like spring is on its way. And, you know, these matches alone are held at a phenomenal golf course, the Wachisaw Plantation Club. So we're very lucky to be here. Gorgeous weather this weekend. Should be great matches.
It's interesting because I had an opportunity to go out yesterday. I couldn't believe how fast the greens were. They're over 11. They're firm. The players are going to be challenged, especially around the greens. I like the fact, though, that everything's in front of the players. So the juniors, they don't really need a ton of home course knowledge around here. What you see is what you get, but leave it under the hole. The greens are just spectacular and tricky and firm. I know it's been a while. I spoke to Reggie earlier before when I got down here, and Reggie and I were talking. I said, "Is this the year Team Ontario brings home the hardware?" So I'm putting the goodwill out there. But this is a good semblance of talent.
Yeah, it is a great. I mean, the talent level. So when we look at the range and we look at the players, we had some of the best, the top talented juniors in both Ontario and South Carolina. So I mean, the talent's there. You know, our kids take a little bit of adjustment to the Bermuda grass. But this is a team event, which is totally different than what the athletes are typically used to. So they're playing not only for themselves, but they're playing for the team. They're playing some of the best kids in the United States. I mean, what could you ask for in terms of prep for the coming golf season?
Walk us through the format a little, Mike, because it is a team event. You're going to play 2 days of official matches. I know Team Ontario's also used this week for training and team bonding and things of that nature. But the matches themselves, what are the formats over the 2 days?
Well, as you know, tonight is the big banquet, like Ryder Cup style. So the anthems and the kids are marched in. They all look very formal with their suits on, and it's a very special evening, which will roll into tomorrow in 4-ball matches. So the 4-ball matches will go at about 11:30 tomorrow. The interesting thing is it's a point per hole, which generally doesn't really work well for us, because if by chance somebody gets beat badly, it's tough to come back from. But it's a different that way, so it's not just a point for a win in the overall match; it's a point per hole. So it's 4-ball matches tomorrow, Saturday, and then singles matches on Sunday.
Well, it should be close. Kids are pumped. I had a chance to speak to some of them. Both teams are here, kind of getting ready, set to go. So it'll be fun. It'll be good. Good luck to Team Ontario. Good luck to Mike, and we'll be all over it the next couple of days here at Wachisaw Plantation. And congratulations to all the boys and girls who made both teams. There's 8 women and 8 gentlemen that make up each side between the ages of 13 and 18. This is Team Canada, representing from Golf Ontario, that headed down. And also take a look now at Team USA from South Carolina, and congratulations to all these great players. And again, Bob, the notables that have come through here. If you just think about this tournament, just a few years ago, Corey Connors was playing in this championship, and he almost won a few weeks back at the Valspar. And of course, this all comes down to raising money in support of junior golf. Golf Talk Canada is a huge supporter of junior golf, and if you want to get involved, go to thegolfgala.ca. That's thegolfgala.ca to register your team, show your support for Junior Golf Drive, to create funds and to push initiatives like the Can-Am and golf in schools and junior golf in general. So if you want to support junior golf alongside Golf Talk Canada, go to the Golf Gala. It is thegolfgala.ca, and Golf Talk Canada will be in attendance, and I'll be hosting that event as well, so we'll be there. So good on Golf Ontario. Not the year. We didn't get it done this year, but maybe next year's the year Team Ontario brings the hardware.
I feel it.
You feel it? Back to Canada. On the other side, it's Winners, Weird, and What? Back to the Masters edition. This is Golf Talk Canada.
This segment of Golf Talk Canada was brought to you in part by Golf Ontario, providing leadership and support for the game we love. This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show. This segment of GTC is brought to you by WeatherTech, Canada's leader in automotive accessories.
It's time for our favorite part of the show, winners, weird, and what? 3-dub, and Bob, you have the teaser.
All right, Mark, my winner this week is actually a group. It's American Golf. And American Golf, for the first time in quite a while, now owns the titles of all 4 major championships, with Patrick Reed taking over from Sergio Garcia. Along with that, of course, they have Brooks Koepka at the U.S. Open, Jordan Spieth at the Open Championship, Justin Thomas at the PGA. They also have the President's Cup, they also have the Ryder Cup, and they also have the Solheim Cup. So when you look at all of those, that's a pretty good run for those guys.
And I say get used to it, Bob, because this year in Paris, I see an American win on foreign soil at the Ryder Cup.
All 4 major champions right now are 27 or younger. That's pretty good, too. My weird this week happened in the first round of the Masters, and it was a shot that Jason Day played. His second shot into the first hole. It hit a tree, bounced off a guy's shoulder, and ended up in a cup. Now, it was a cup full of beer, and this guy here was very good about it. He said, you have to identify the ball. Let me get the beer out of the way. So he drank the beer, then he turned the cup over, and he gave the ball back to Jason Day, and Jason Day said, thanks a lot, mate. That looked pretty good. So
I think it was a Foster's. He was chugging a Foster's.
It might have been. And my what this week is, what a performance by Tony Finau. Now, we saw that unbelievable performance. This is just a crazy shot, and the celebration. He said that he went from being totally exhilarated to totally embarrassed. And, of course, he does that celebration, runs down, and does that. Oh, that hurts. And then pops it back in and ends up playing the golf tournament. He finishes up first of all, he finished up the par 3, but he ends up playing the golf tournament and finishes top 10. There's a Canadian angle to this story. His trainer, chiropractor, physical therapist is a guy named Dr. Stuart Love from Victoria, British Columbia. He was the guy who put the ankle back together, taped it all up, and allowed Tony to play.
Amazing that he could change the way he went through impact through the week to stay more flat-footed, to take pressure off that ankle, and played the way he did. What athleticism. Bob, my winner this week is a reaction from Jordan Spieth. Now, we all remember what happened at the 12th hole as Spieth was marching towards history in the 2016 Masters. It was an absolute disaster. Well, look at Spieth's reaction on Sunday after hitting the green here at 12. This is unbelievable. Watch this. Look it up. I love it. I love the fact that he showed the emotion, and it proves to me that most of these guys are so guarded, Bob. He remembers, and he remembers that you remembered what happened in 2016.
That's right.
Unbelievable. My weird this week, Bubba Watson. This is awesome because this shows like everybody's mortal. This is brilliant. Putting for eagle on 2. And now sand play for birdie. Come on. Have you ever seen that?
Bring me the wedge. I've never seen that. I've seen guys lob it in there, but not like that
before. That's like sitting around the 19th hole. So what you have on 2? I had an eagle putt. Did you make the putt for 4? Not exactly. My what this week, and we could go many different directions with this, but what a nightmare for Sergio on the 15th hole. He ties the highest score ever in Augusta on a single hole with a 13 after putting 5 golf balls in the water on 15, the defending champion going sideways. But if that wasn't crazy enough for you, then the Twitter exchange, Rich Lerner suggests that maybe they will not call Firethorn their second child, and Angela Garcia pipes up and fights back at Rich Lerner. Now, Rich Lerner eventually apologized for that. I know he was trying to be funny, Bob, but maybe the wound was a little too fresh?
Yeah, they crossed the line a little bit there. Rich and Angela, of course, she used to work at the Golf Channel, so they were co-workers for a while. Who knows what the background is there, but I think it's Sergio handled it pretty well, handled it with grace, and I don't know if the Sergio of old would have done that. The one good thing is when you put 5 balls in the water, it feels a lot better when you've got a green jacket.
Oh, totally. And you know what? One other thing, too. Adam Scully, our producer, suggested the winner this week for you and I should have been Sergio's caddy to be loading that many golf balls in his bag and carrying them around Augusta. On the other side, we kick off 20 weeks of TaylorMade this week. This is Golf Talk Canada.
Winners, Weird, and What was brought to you by Myrtle Beach Golf Holiday, the golf capital of the world. This is Acura at the Majors, a Golf Talk Canada special, the Masters Recap Show. This segment of GTC is brought to you by MotoCaddy and Stewart Golf Dream Machines, the Canadian market leaders in electric walking golf trolleys.
20 weeks of TaylorMade starts today. Congratulations, Mike Luck of Oshawa, Ontario. You are our Week 1 winner. You win that Masters commemorative staff bag. Well done. Next week, it's an M3 driver we are giving away. The only way you can win is to subscribe for free to Golf Talk Canada TV and radio on YouTube, our YouTube channel. And news and notes, Marco Mira says goodbye to competitive play at Augusta. Augusta National announces a women's amateur championship that will be held on the Saturday final round leading into the Masters starting next year. The Zurich Classic of New Orleans will all of a sudden have walk-up music. Coincidence they announced that WrestleMania weekend? I think not. And the WGC Bridgestone may be moving to Memphis and Akron, ending a long history in Akron with the WGC and the PGA Tour. Bob, I'm a top 5 player in the world. No one can beat me when I'm playing well. I like to wave my fist and face in your face when we're playing match play. No, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Patrick Reed. And now he has a green jacket. Does golf have its bad boy finally?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he's a villain. Listen, there's lots of things not to like about him outside of his golf game, which is spectacular. But the muted applause he got on the first tee and walking up 18 on Sunday at Augusta, I have never seen anything like that. I don't know if he's going to win any personality contests, but he probably doesn't even care as long as he's got that green jacket and he's hunting for more majors. But you're right, he's going to be the guy wearing the black hat.
And he certainly suggested that that lack of applause and the positives for Rory McIlroy, he used it as fuel. He was open about it. And here we go. Maybe this is going to be exciting. You know, golf needs its stars. Golf needs its good guys and bad guys. And now that everybody loves Sergio, he's no longer a villain. And even last week, everybody's cheering for Ian Poulter. What happened to that? I called our listeners out on Golf Talk Canada Radio. When did Ian Poulter become a fan favorite?
There's been a vacancy there. There's been a vacancy. Someone take the job and go. It's yours, Patrick Reed. And I think he'll wear that hat pretty well. He doesn't care. He wants to win.
Thank God, Bob. I was feeling so much pressure. My game's just not good enough. All right, we're back to our usual 30-minute show next week. And back this week on radio. Thank you so much for listening or watching. First good decision on the golf course. It always starts in the closet.
Mark and Bob's clothing and apparel provided by Adidas Golf.